What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 134 of the Axis of Combat podcast. I'm one half of your host, Hugo the Boss. Hugo got next, joined by my co-host.
It's your boy Ray Boogie Kahuna. On today's episode 134, we have UFC London, Evloev versus Murphy. We also got some PFL Madrid, Van Steenis versus Edwards 2. And like always on the boxing end, we got a couple of fights we want to highlight. But before we get into any of that, like always, my brother, please tell them what the deal is.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, and TikTok.
If you're enjoying the visual portion of this podcast, like always, you can slide over to the YouTube and catch the main cast. And coming soon on Twitch and Kick, you can catch us live. But like always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and iHeartRadio, you already know.
First fight on the card at women's bantamweight, we have no mess. Melissa Mullins going one-on-one with Luana Dread Carolina. Mullins, 7-2 overall. Fighting out of England, repping England, 34 years old. Carolina is 11-5 overall. Fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 32 years old. So on paper here, we have the striker versus the grappler. Technically, we got Mullins as the grappler, and we got Carolina as the striker. But the way I kind of see this fight, I think it's going to be an all-out brawl. We got two women here who like to walk forward, a little chaotic in their offense. Again, Mullins, I will have to lean. I think she has better control on the ground when it comes to the grappling. And on the Carolina side, she does have some grappling as well, but I think she excels a little more in the stand-up. I think it's just going to be a battle of wills between these two women. It's going to be chaotic, and it's WMMA. So a fight that I feel like should end is probably going to go to distance. I am going to lean the grappler in Mullins. And in terms of a play, it's probably just a pure dog or pass. I am a little bit biased towards the Carolina side. I think as long as she makes weight, she could be live. If she's the dog, haven't looked at any lines. But I'll take the grappler. Give me Mullins here to, get a chaotic decision win.
Yeah, I'm there as well. This fight's line is a pick'em, which is a little surprising. I thought Mullins would have a little bit more on her money line, but at the end of the day, I'm with my brother here. I think Luana has made significant improvements to her game. She's not bad on the floor. Mullins is gonna, I think, has a lot of success controlling her. I could see Luana creating a lot of scrambles, so she can't necessarily land a ton of effective ground and pound to open up her submission game. I'm with this here too. I think Mullins' wrestling is going to be enough to win minutes in her backyard. If this fight's close, I expect the judges to be in favor of the hometown girl. Give me Mullins here by decision. I will give Luana the benefit of the doubt in terms of surviving and making it to the belt.
Next fight on the card at women's strawweight, we have Shanelle Dyer, the Nightmare, going one-on-one with Ravena Oliveira. Dyer is 6-1 overall. Fighting out of England, repping England, 24 years old. Oliveira is 7-3-1 overall. Fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 29 years old. Now, this is another WMMA fight between two women who I think stylistically are kind of similar in terms of the way they want to approach the way they fight. They both kind of like to manage that range. They both prefer striking. Both can grapple, but in their own particular ways and not very good. Oliveira on one side, her grappling is more, body lock into, trip takedown. Dyer will actually shoot for a single and a double. She's the more technical striker here, in my opinion. She's got the kickboxing background. Ravena also has power in her hands, but not as clean, in my opinion, as Dyer. In a fight where whoever pushes the pace and is on, their forward foot here probably wins, I'm gonna lean Dyer here. I think in space she operates a little better, and I kind of like the grappling a little more, and she's at home, and she's making her debut, previously fought in the PFL, looked decent there. She's cutting down to 115 here. She's probably gonna be the more physical woman as well. Oliveira just a bit of a disappointment. I'm gonna lean Dyer here. I'm gonna say by decision, but this is another fight where if things line up, it could get messy, it could get wild. Maybe there's a finish here, not too sure, but I'll say Dyer by decision.
Yeah, it's interesting that Dyer's moving down in weight here. This is her second fight at 115. You would think she's going to be like a ton bigger than Oliveira here, but she's not. She's only an inch taller. They have the same dimensions with the reach. Probably the leg size is a little different. I think Dyer has longer legs here, and she does utilize a mean kicking game. But I'm with you here. I think Dyer should get this done, even though she was running for dire needs in her last contest in the Contender Series, where she was just getting backed up and getting bombed on.
She was getting dummied in that fight.
Oh my God, it was bad. But what I will say is that I cannot get behind this line. They have Dyer to minus 380 on some books, which I think is absurd.
That is very wide.
I think this is a dog or pass spot. You have Oliveira sitting at plus 300. My brother will agree he did not know the line before his breakdown, and I'm sure and I'm confident that he's agreeing with me here. Dyer should not be a minus 340 at this level.
No.
She has shown nothing. She's inexperienced. I'm not quite sure she's even going to be the bigger girl here because the dimensions are relatively similar. And when she moved down, she didn't look like the bigger girl either. It looks like she did the proper strength and conditioning to get the lean muscle mass off and still got bopped up by a 115er that just put pressure on her. And if Oliveira decides to put her foot on the gas here, there's going to be some dire consequences for Dyer in this contest.
I mean, listen, Oliveira's in dire need for a win. She's on a 2-fight losing streak, and, if she doesn't fight with any kind of urgency, it's probably kaputs for her ass.
Correct. Yeah. And to be fair, I think she has the better top game if she gets on top of you. So, her wrestling's not great, but if she can win an exchange in the grappling, she can wind up on top, win minutes here, or get a stoppage here. So, dog or pass, I'm on Dyer, but it's dog or pass from a value play standpoint.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have Shem going one-on-one with Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady, a.k.a. the Pride of Palestine. Rock, 12-2-1 overall. Fighting out of Dublin, Ireland, but repping the United Kingdom, 32 years old. Al-Selwady is 15-4 overall. Fighting out of Dallas, Texas, but repping Palestine, 30 years old. This is an interesting fight because I know there's a lot of hype behind Shem. I wasn't really too thrilled with the guy. I know he's got a lot of very good jiu-jitsu and he's got decent pop in his hands, but I think the stand-up is a little shaky. Al-Selwady, I think, is the better MMA fighter, but I can't trust this guy's chin. He will explode at any minute whenever you touch, it's like a sledgehammer on granite. It's just gonna shatter. It's one of those things where I think Al-Selwady is, even though the better MMA fighter, probably is gonna be winning minutes until he's not. If he does engage in any kind of grappling, that's kind of Shamrock's wheelhouse, so it's gonna get a little interesting there. I'm gonna lean Al-Selwady. Probably not the most popular pick if I'm being, completely honest. Probably a lot of people are gonna be on the Shamrock side. In terms of a play, I kind of am feeling maybe fight ends in sub. If you like Shamrock, it's probably sub or decision. If you like Al-Selwady, it's probably more decision or KO. I'll take the shaky risk here against the guy, Shamrock being the hometown guy here. And I'll pick Al-Selwady here for the win and just pray he doesn't get, slept.
Yeah, I'm with you on the breakdown with Shamrock. I think he's a little overrated, to be frank with you. His stand-up is super shaky. He didn't look good his last fight, but to be fair, it was against the second coming of Khabib.
Yeah, quote unquote.
the Tibet, I think it's the Tibetan Eagle, right? Or whatever,
I'm not sure what the nickname is.
But regardless, I think it's a situation where I see Shamrock being able to get the grappling going at will here. He's going to have a 3-inch height advantage, a 4-inch reach advantage, and he's physically going to be bigger than Al-Selwady. It's going to be visible. I think if Shamrock gets on top of him, he could fucking work him, to be frank with you. So I'm going to lean Shamrock here, and he's a slight dog. This fight's pretty much lying close to a pick'em.
Interesting.
But I don't say that with a high degree of confidence because to all my brother's points, he is right. Selwady is the better MMA fighter. He has the better skills. He has the better UFC experience. But I'm going to take a guess and say that his chin might fall off a cliff here at any point during the fight against a guy that he has to close space on. And I think if Shamrock gets on top of him, it's going to be curtains low key. I think it's just the size. It's not going to be skills that pay the bills here. It's going to be size does matter, bitch. So give me Shamrock here for the slight dog lean, but I understand people who are on Al-Selwady.
Next fight on the card at men's heavyweight, we have Louie Sutherland, a.k.a. the Vanilla Gorilla, going one-on-one with Brando Petrovic. I think that's how you say his name, the Balkan Bear. Sutherland, 10-4 overall. Fighting out of England, but repping Scotland, 32 years old. Brando is 5-1 overall, fighting out of Australia, repping Australia, 31 years old. This is a fight where I think, big old beefy man bumping meat. We got Sutherland, who I think if he can get to his grappling game and get to his grappling arsenal here, probably does stand a little bit of a chance against Brando here, but I think Brando is going to live up to the name, the Baltic Bear. He's going to run over the gorilla. I mean, hypothetical. I mean, who wins? Gorillas or bears? I mean, most people go gorilla. I'm leaning bear for this one.
Statistically, bears hit harder. They have a higher swing pressure. I think that's what it is. What weight, the weight behind their punches.
I mean, that makes more sense. I know gorillas are like more muscle, right? They're
correct.
Just like straight up hard body karate, like.
And they have thumbs.
They don't swim, right?
And they have thumbs.
They're a little more, yeah. What's that? They're more like ambimorphic. I don't know. Yeah. Hey, man, correct me. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Anyway, give me Brando here. It's going to be a big sloppy fight, but Brando's going to be the bigger guy. I think he's the better, more aggressive striker. I am worried about him being taken down here, but Sutherland, is particularly in his last performance, didn't really impress me. Brando did. I'll take Brando here for the win in a big old sloppy slugfest between gorilla and a bear.
It's crazy because we're on the other side here again. And I'm going to be on the Louie Sutherland side. And I'm going to be on the Louie Sutherland side for a couple of reasons. I've seen this guy in his back, and he has the ability to get up. Brando is going to probably try to wrestle him down at some point, I believe. But I agree with you. I think Brando should have the striking edge. But if you're asking me, I think Louie has the faster hands. I really do. And I think at heavyweight, that means a lot. I also think at this line, that means a lot. They have Louie sitting at a plus 220 on certain spots, and I don't think it should be that wide, considering that Louie, even though he didn't look good his last performance, it was against Walter Walker. Like, Walter, I think, probably subs Brando, too.
The leg collector himself.
It's crazy, yeah. Like, he's just, like, at heavyweight, you know how to do a good heel hook and get an angle for it, and you have strong legs, you're gonna have success. Walter's a better name than the last guy that Brando fought. Brando hasn't shown it. He also is giving up octagon experience in here. I think Louie warrants a dog play here. And I'm not saying he's the most impressive heavyweight, but I think this is a fight that could be very close. I also think this is a fight where he's the hometown guy, respectfully. And I also think this is a fight, even though Louie looks a little watered down, let's just say, since he's entered the promotion.
Hey, man.
I would like to see what he looks like on the scales come this week, because I think, if I'm correct, when he fought Walter, it was on short notice anyway. Tune in and follow us on all social media platforms for any and final plays that we may or may not make. But I'm gonna take a swing on record here with Louie, just because of all the factors that I listed. Give me Louie Sutherland as a possible dog play here. And once again, this is another fight where I understand if you like what you saw from Brando, I get it. Just, I can't get behind the value here. So give me Louie Sutherland as a dog play.
Next fight on the card at men's middleweight, we have Antonio Trócoli going one-on-one with Mantas Kondratavičius. I hope I got that one right. Trócoli, 12-6 overall. Fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 35 years old. Mantas is 8-1 overall. Fighting out of Lithuania, repping Lithuania, 26 years old. Well, this is another fight in, what is this, middleweight? That I do not have any kind of faith in Trócoli. I don't think he belongs in the UFC at this point. I think he is a bum.
Horrible fighter.
And I'm going to take another stab at this last name, Kondratavičius. I might not like his striking defense, but the guy's aggressive. He's got power in both hands, and Trócoli is, I think going to be his next victim, if I'm going to be completely honest. Not the most technical breakdown. It's going to be a sloppy fight. This is, I guess, technically the worst guy Trócoli has fought, but at the same time, Mantas is it's a bit of a human wrecking ball, and I expect him to, I guess, layman's terms, fuck up Trócoli. So give me Mantas via KO, first 2 rounds for sure. I say first round. I'll put him on the table.
Trócoli has had every opportunity to impress the UFC. He's had favorable matchups where he can get his grappling going. He has the physical tools. He just doesn't have, apparently, the brain to go with those physical tools. I expect the newcomer to steamroll this guy. He hits extremely hard. He can grapple. He's very physical. He's low-key kind of a killer. Like, he is. I'm not too impressed with the striking defense as well, but when you could put someone on their back foot in this weight class and up, like from 185 to heavyweight, it's a big fucking deal. And this guy is ready to serve or be served at times. So I just don't think Trócoli's the one that's going to do it. I don't think Trócoli's doing any of the serving. And after this fight, I expect the UFC to dump him quicker than Mackenzie Dern dumped him. So,
damn.
You know,
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, it's that simple.
I guess if you want to play it a little safe, you know, I guess unders if they're playable or fight doesn't go if they're playable. But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you know where we're getting at this, you know, ladies and gentlemen. You know.
I don't expect this fight to go past the first round.
Yeah.
And that's why the unders are very viable here. Even the half, I think, is viable.
If it does, it's because Trócoli is running.
Correct. And he can't take a shot. This guy he's full on pressure, man. I don't expect it to change in this contest. He's a savage. So give me Mantas here and expect the walking papers, Trócoli, the same way Mackenzie Dern gave him to you.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Next fight on the card at men's heavyweight, we have Mario Pinto going one-on-one with Felipe Franco. Pinto, perfect. 11-0. Fighting out of England, but repping Portugal, 28 years old. The debuting Franco is 10-1 overall. Fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 25 years old. Not Pinto's original opponent. I think he was lined up to fight Mick Parkin. And in my opinion, that would have been a better fight. Done some tape on Franco. He's pretty much light heavyweight Jailton Almeida. You seen what happened to Jailton Almeida recently? Formerly employed Jailton Almeida. Now,
we're talking about people's jobs here,
listen,
but it's true though. It's reality.
You gotta keep it a buck. And now listen, Franco is a little more aggressive. He's got a little more ground and pound than Jailton, and a little more physical. Like his style is very pick you up and put you down. That's the kind of shit that I love to watch. You know what I'm saying? But Pinto's a bad motherfucker on the feet. There's no contest here, and if it gets to the ground, I think maybe it can get a little dicey for Mario, but Mario can get up. I think Mario is not that deficient on the ground.
He's not.
I think it's Pinto all day. He's just going to run through him. Give me Pinto by KO and give it to me early. Pause.
I know Pinto only knocked out Austin Lane, but I think this guy has shown enough to me, even on the pre-UFC level, that he's a legit contender and he can be a legit force in this weight class if he, you know, gets the proper matchmaking and also puts in the work that he's been doing, right? So I think Pinto is the goods. I don't think this guy's going to offer a lot of ground and pound. I think Pinto's going to have every chance to scramble up, and I don't think Pinto's wrestling's that bad, to be frank. Yeah, it's Austin Lane. Austin Lane's a big fucking guy, dude. Like, especially in that first round, he is very dangerous. Can hit hard, can wrestle, like, you know, but it's just after the first round and his chin, man, are just like fucking, oh my God, horrible. And that was one of the worst knockouts I've seen at heavyweight in a while. So give me Pinto here to find the KO. I think he's the goods. I think he gets it done here. I don't want to say relatively easy, but I think he's going to find the finish. Give me Mario Pinto here by knockout.
Next fight on the card at men's featherweight, we have the prospect, quote-unquote prospect, Nathaniel Wood, going one-on-one with the Black Panther, the debuting Losene? I think that's Losene? Keita. Wood, 22-6 overall. Fighting out England, repping England, 32 years old. Keita is 16-1 overall. Fighting out of Belgium, repping Belgium, 28 years old. If the name sounds familiar, it is. You should, know if you've been following the UFC. Keita was supposed to make his debut against Patricio Pitbull. Ended up missing weight. Pitbull, being the consummate professional, ended up pulling out. I mean, I guess not pulling out, but ended up declining the fight because, again, he's on the back end of his career and is not going to take any kind of risk with these guys who are not disciplined. They're going to try to come in with a weight advantage. And, hey, listen, Pitbull's got to defend the throne. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's still Pitbull at the end of the day. Keita, I know, was, bitching online about, Pitbull not taking the fight, but
he cried so much. It was annoying. It just wasn't a good look, man.
I hope he, realizes that, he was in the wrong there and, maybe lock it in, young man. You know what I'm saying? This kid's got a lot of potential, extremely athletic, very powerful, and, fast, dynamic. He's got everything but the technique here, in my opinion. going against Nathaniel Wood, a guy who I've been trying to fade for a while. And, he's been shutting me the fuck up. I won't lie to you. Wood, even though I do think he's fighting above a weight class that he shouldn't be in, is still getting shit done. A little bit underrated power. Definitely going to be the more technical guy here, in my opinion. It's power versus technique here. If you like the Wood side, it's probably by decision. I don't think he finishes Keita here at all.
He doesn't finish anybody, bro.
Especially
I hate to sound
moved up. No, you're right.
I hate to sound terrible. Like,
you're right.
he that's his biggest issue. Like,
he's going to keep Keita in the fight.
Correct.
And if you like the Keita side, there's the chance he does win by decision, but there's also a chance, because I do like his finishing ability a little more, he does finish here. I'm going to slightly lean Keita here. Again, I know I've been on the fucking fade Woods train here. I've been wrong before. I'm probably going to be wrong again. I just show me something, young man. Just show it to me, because I think he's got the goods. And I think he's got what it takes to make some noise in the division, but I'm ready to eat all the dirt when, Woods just shows him a masterclass in technique.
Yeah.
I'm not too confident in this one, but I'm leaning the Black Panther.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean the Black Panther as well, just because of the size and the explosiveness. He doesn't have like the best wrestling game, but he's so explosive. He pops up to his feet even against guys that get him down on full double legs and full single leg takedowns, and he's on his back. I mean, he's very gifted. The problem is, like, besides me not liking him because he completely went on a bitching rampage on Twitter/X about Pitbull not taking the fight, then had the audacity to try and record him pretty much saying why he wouldn't take the fight. It's like, dude, you don't have to do shit. And then you missed weight by like 5 pounds. Like, I think it was like 5+ pounds.
I don't know how much you missed by, but I mean,
it doesn't matter. You missed. Yeah. And Pitbull doesn't have to fight you, bro. He don't have to fight you. Now, back to Nathaniel Wood here. I faded him against Jose Delgado, and he got his ass whooped that first round. Probably, you could have argued a stoppage. You really could have.
Definitely 10-8.
10-8 the shit out of him.
Yeah.
But then Nathaniel Wood kind of just figured it out and kind of just cruised to a decision. I still thought he lost the fight.
Yeah.
I thought he lost. I thought it was a little bit of a fucking robbery, but
I agree.
He just has this way of just getting the fight that he wants, even if it doesn't start off completely the way that he wants it to.
I agree. He sticks in there. An IQ is underrated,
He's good. If he was at 35, he'd be a monster.
Yeah.
And, I wish he would actually consider just taking the proper dietary restrictions and getting back down to that weight class, because I think he's world championship caliber at that weight class. So give me Keita here. Not with a high degree of confidence. This is honestly a fight that I have no interest in like getting to. I don't like the value on Keita, but I understand it. That's where I'm at with it. So give me Keita here for the lean. Not with a high degree of confidence.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have the Dragon, Mason Jones, going one-on-one with Axel Sola. Jones, 17-2 overall, fighting out of Wales, hailing from Wales, 30 years old. Sola, 11-0-1 overall, so technically perfect. Fighting out of France, repping France, 28 years old. I'm a fan of Mason Jones. I'm going to put my cards on the table. I don't think he should have been cut from the UFC or released from the UFC. Don't know what the situation was there, but hey, he's back in the UFC. Now, Mason Jones, fun fighter, maybe takes way too much damage for my liking. And Alex Sola on the other side, he's got very solid boxing, throws right down the middle, impressive power, can grapple as well. This fight's going to be fun. This fight, haven't looked at the lines, but probably should be closely lined. But it's one of those things where, listen, I got to see it first. I have to see it first. I got to pick Mason Jones here for the win. But again, it's one of those fights where no matter what side you're on, you're gonna be clenching, because it's gonna be a banger, and it's gonna be back and forth. Mason Jones tends to get rocked early and then kind of like figure it out later. Alex Sola is going to be walking forward and is going to put it on him. It's going to be a fun fucking fight. I wouldn't be, again, completely shocked or surprised if Sola won by decision here. But I think Mason Jones is going to win, and I think he's going to win by decision.
Yeah, this is a fight where you got to pick Mason Jones, and it's for a couple of reasons. One, I know Axel is a little cleaner with his striking. Sure. This fight has all the makings of looking like the Oki fight for Mason Jones all over again. And the reason I say that is because Oki had great success early against Mason. He hits very hard. But Axel against Reese McKee looked like dog shit towards the end of that fight. And you want the real? That was a bullshit stoppage. It's complete bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, he did rock him to the body. He did put him down. But
Correct.
Maybe a bit premature.
A bit?
I'd say a bit.
I don't know. That was pretty bad.
I mean, listen, I'm not the biggest fan of Reese McKee. I'll throw it out there.
My point, and that, hold that thought.
I'm holding it.
I'm gonna elaborate further on that point.
Okay.
Reese had fucking success against this guy.
He did have some success.
I think Mason Jones would take this kid's lunch money, Reese McKee's lunch money, and pants him in the middle of the locker room and or lunchroom in front of all the girls. And there's not a thing Reese McKee would do. I'm just being honest. Like, I know he's a zombie a bit. I just think Reese McKee is another overrated prospect from Cage Warriors. There's nothing special about his game, and Axel struggled with him. And to be fair, it was Axel's debut, if I'm correct.
It was, yeah.
I guess we could give him somewhat of a pass here, but
Some leniency, but I mean, listen, he did look good in there. But you're right. I mean, McKee, as much as I don't like him, did have some moments in there.
yeah,
Was able to tag him.
and this is a Mason Jones who has a better gas tank. I think a better chin at this point of their careers. I think he has a better ground game in terms of finishing fights. I mean, if he gets on top of Sola, he might bludgeon his ass a little bit here. So
It's going to be a fun fight.
I'm on Mason Jones here, like my brother, and I just don't think Axel Sola at this point of his career can do it to Mason Jones at this point of his career. Maybe if they fought maybe 5 years later, it'd be a different conversation. But right now, at this point in time, in the year 2026, the year of our Lord, I expect Mason Jones to attempt to put Axel Sola into a mason jar. Give me Mason Jones here for the win.
Next fight on the card at men's featherweight, we have the Pink Panther, Curtis Campbell, the debuting Curtis Campbell, going one-on-one with El Puma, Danny Silva. Campbell is perfect. 8-0. Fighting out of England, repping England, 23 years old. Silva is 10-2 overall. Fight out of Santa Ana, California, 29 years old. They currently have this as the main card opener, and I think it's going to be a banger. I'll start on the Danny Silva side, a guy who I think is going to have the striking edge, in my opinion here, at least in the boxing department. A little bit of an underrated grappler, but, prefers to stand up. I kind of like Danny Silva. He's got that grit. He's got that walk forward, kick your ass mentality. I'm a fan of the guy. Going against a guy here in Campbell where I don't think he's as good with the boxing, but, can throw some leg kicks. Decent power, but his bread and butter is the grappling. And I think that's probably going to be the difference here in this competition. I'm going to lean Campbell slightly because I think Campbell is not going to have that much of a hard time taking down Silva and controlling Silva and beating up Silva in the ground. Does he finish him? I'm a little split on that. I don't think so. I think it's going to go to decision. But if you do like the Campbell side, maybe the submission is probably, the way to look there. In my heart of hearts, I do think Danny Silva is probably the better MMA fighter. So
Plus 152 for Danny, minus 196 for Curtis.
So that being said, considering that I just heard he's the dog, I don't think he's a terrible dog to look at. But I do think the grappling is probably going to be a factor here. So I'll lean the favorite. I'll lean Campbell, and I'll lean decision.
Yeah, I'm with you here too, especially since Danny's going to have 2 inches in height here, and I think he's probably physically going to be a bigger guy in there. I don't hate a dog look here. The problem is we really haven't seen Danny Silva against a grappler. Yeah. And I think that's the big question here. Is he under Cub Swanson getting the proper tutelage to deal with someone like this? Campbell can grapple. He's very good at getting to his spots. Danny has gotten taken down by strikers like Vallejos and others. And I feel like that's a big red flag heading into this contest. The thing is, and this is why I think he might warrant a dog play, just because he is a fucking dog. And he can take a big shot. I don't know if Campbell's going to be able to hurt him. And I think that's huge in this fight too. It reminds me a lot of like Dan Hooker versus Gamrot. I'm not sure Campbell is going to hurt him unless he hits him with a head kick. But I've seen Danny take a flush head kick and just eat that shit. So the dude, this is a great fight stylistically. I'm going to lean Campbell because I think he can win minutes with the grappling, and he's at home. So we always have to preface that.
This is in London.
But Danny Silva as a live play here, especially after the second round, I don't think is the worst look either. So give me Campbell for the lean with moderate confidence. I think he gets it done via decision. I think Danny has enough dog not to get subbed here. But if the sub is a nice number, don't hate it.
Next fight on the card at men's middleweight, we have Roman Dolidze going one-on-one with CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan. Dolidze is 15-4 overall, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, but repping Georgia, 37 years old. CLD is 13-2 overall, fighting out of England, repping England, 30 years old. Now, technically, I guess on paper, I'll throw it up in quotations. We got a striker versus grappler here. Dolidze being more of the grappling type, Duncan being the striker. Not saying that Dolidze doesn't strike, because Dolidze does strike. Let me not take that away from him. But in this particular matchup, and, just looking at Dolidze's past history here, I don't know if the man stands a chance. Unless, again, he's got to commit to the grappling, commit to the cage pushing, and just try to, use the striking to get in. Maybe hurt CLD, take him down, fuck him up. I just got a weird feeling here that CLD is going to look like fucking grease lightning in there.
Yeah.
He's going to maintain the distance. He's going to bop him up. He's going to have the speed advantage, in my opinion. And CLD, particularly in his last couple fights, has been looking fucking phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Like, does he knock out Dolidze? Ooh, I want to say yeah. I think he does have the capability of flatlining Dolidze here. Give me CLD for the win. I'll say via knockout in a fight that I hope is closer, but I don't think it's going to be that close just because, again, grease lightning. The guy's going to be quick.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Roman Dolidze looks like after that fluffy beating, man. I mean, and the thing is, too...
different stylistic matchup, but...
Yeah, I mean, he looked... The interviews he did after that fight were so... They broke my heart a bit because I felt like he realized, damn, I'm never going to be a world champion in this organization.
Yeah.
Like that. I question what the motivation is after that. I also will give him a little bit more credence. I agree with you. CLD could stop this guy. I'm going to say by decision, though. And the reason I'm going to say by decision, Dolidze's only been stopped once, and that was against Fluffy, his last fight. He's been historically durable. CLD also does have the tendency to take his foot off the gas sometimes.
I hope he doesn't.
I hope he doesn't either. And he did it. He hasn't done it his last, I think, 2 fights. But there was 2 fights before that where he should have gotten the stoppage. And I was ready to fucking break shit. For obvious reasons. Because it was obvious what should have happened.
Yeah.
But of course, we live in the multiverse. And we lived in the fucking multiverse where he didn't finish this motherfucker. So, I hate it. But yeah, I'm going to give Dolidze a little more credence. I think CLD by decision here. I think he styles on him. I think he's going to be way too fast. Even if Dolidze does manage to get a takedown on him, CLD has shown in the past that his ability to scramble and get up, because he's so athletically, gifted.
Yeah.
He scrambles, he gets up, he can grapple too if he needs to. Gregory Rodriguez couldn't even secure strong positions on him, and Gregory's a humongous human being.
And we're fans of Gregory here.
And a world champion black belt. So give me CLD here to style him, get this done via decision.
Next fight on the card at light heavyweight, we have Iwo Brownowski going one-on-one with the debuting for this weight class, Austin Lane. Iwo is perfect. 7-0, fighting out of Poland, repping Poland, 27 years old. Austin Lane, 13-7 overall, fighting out of Jacksonville, Florida, 38 years old. I got some questions for this particular fight because, and it's on the Austin Lane side, and it's, maybe not in the most positive light. If Austin Lane could make 205, first of all, I'm curious to see what he looks like. Second of all, if he could have made 205 this whole time, he probably should have did it a little earlier in his career. This weight cut kind of feels a little bit like,
desperation.
Yes. Austin Lane, we know the guy is big, very big human with, football background, but no chin. And he's going against a guy here in Iwo who will walk forward and put hands on him.
Correct.
Violently.
I hate this, I hate this for the Jaguar, bro.
Listen, Austin Lane, I'm going to give him a little shining light here. If he can make this weight at 205, I think he's going to be the more physical guy here. He is going to be able to take Ewo down if he wanted to, and maybe even hold him down. Just purely based on physicality alone.
You want the real, like, I'm with you. I don't know how he's going to make 205.
I'm curious.
I want to see what it looks like. He's a humongous human being,
he's
bro.
He's a 6'6" man.
Yeah.
And again, former football player. NFL, we're talking.
Tells you everything you need to know.
Humongous man.
He's big.
But pause.
Yeah.
But I just think it's just a matter of time. It might be, again, a desperation move that just feels a little too late. I think Ewo is going to knock him the fuck out. It's just a matter of when. So give me Ewo here. Give me Ewo via knockout. And I'd say first or second round. I'd say first round, but if Austin Lane was able to get the grappling going, maybe the cardio is a little more improved here. Maybe he does last to the second round. I don't think this reaches 3. I don't think this goes to the scorecards. It's Ewo.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, at 205, what's his gas going to look like relative to, him being above 250 pounds? Like,
I would think it'd be slightly improved, for sure.
It might.
Because that's a lot of weight that he was moving around up there.
It might or it might not be, right? Because he might just be depleting his body so much at this point that his gas is not going to be good, especially in some of those muscle endurance wrestling exchanges, right? So he's depleting lean muscle mass to make this weight. I'm fucking worried about him here, man. And I don't even know the guy, but I'm fucking worried about him.
And he's a nice guy, man. He's a genuinely nice guy.
It's just, this is, and this is a guy in Ewo, besides the striking, he will wrestle him down too. Particularly, I'm assuming Ewo's going to have success wrestling into him after the first round. First round's probably going to be Lane. Second, third round's going to be very fucking interesting.
Yeah, if it gets that far.
Yeah, so give me Ewo here, man. I hate fading this guy, Lane, but I think he's so gifted. But, some guys are just not born to fight, bro. Like, that's the reality, unfortunately, and he doesn't have the acumen that most fighters have where they started at a young age. Yeah, you're a physical specimen. So is Brendan Schaub, bro. Like, fucking monster athletes. But sometimes, like, you don't have the fluidity of someone who's trained for years, and it doesn't come natural to you either. So then you can't take a shot. So give me Ewo here to knock out the depleted Austin Lane.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have MVP Michael Venom Page. Cue to my brother. Going one-on-one with Sam Patterson. MVP is 24-3 overall, fighting out of the United Kingdom. Repping the United Kingdom, 38 years old. Patterson, 14-2-1 overall. Also repping United Kingdom. Also fighting at the United Kingdom, 29 years old. What an interesting matchup here.
Correct.
And it's interesting because, listen, I was wrong on Sam Patterson. I'll admit it. The kid's got skill. He's good. He's a finisher. Underrated ground game. Pop in his hands. The striking's not terrible.
Big for the weight class.
Very big for the weight class. But he is going against MVP here. A man where, listen, is there any man who has made more money off of MVP than Raymond Daniels? Whenever MVP's got a fight, Raymond Daniels' phone is going off the charts. I need a sparring partner that can emulate this guy. Please come in. Hard stylistic matchup to prepare for.
For anybody
at any weight class that MVP fights at. MVP's just got this very unique in and out, very fast, even at 38. Karate stance, striking background, very hard to hit, very elusive, not afraid of backpedaling, drawing you into his attacks, very fast hands, solid jab, some knockout power. He's not the weakest man here.
Yeah, not the weakest man here, but MVP, in my opinion, and by the way, to all you haters who have been trying to fade this guy since his Bellator days, saying that he was overrated, tune into this podcast from the first fight that we covered with him against Kevin Holland, and look how much we have praised this guy and told you what it is with him. For all you guys that said he's a fraud, you guys are eating a lot of shit right now. And here's why you're also eating a lot of shit. You're eating a lot of shit because this guy cannot get ranked opponents to sign the fucking paper to fight him, which is why he's getting Sam Patterson.
Yeah.
You telling me a guy that you can argue beat Ian Gary can't get a ranked contender after he arguably beat Ian Gary? He had to move up to 85, and he's styling on motherfuckers up there too.
It's one of those situations where like MVP is almost 39. You know, the UFC doesn't want to like really push him into like to be a title contender, but at the same time, it's like
he's almost undeniable.
I mean, it just takes one good grappler, right? It takes one good grappler, and Patterson has grappling, but Patterson, not the greatest chin. He does have to jump into the fire to get close enough to MVP. And I think he could have some success, and I think he probably could sub MVP. I like his jiu-jitsu that much.
Correct, but go ahead. I'll let you do. I'll let you do it first.
I'll let you go. Go ahead.
MVP very good at mitigating submissions on the floor. Very good at mitigating ground and pound on the floor. He's done it his whole career, and I think that's why even at close to 39 years old, he's still moving the way he does because he hasn't taken a metric ton of damage. He doesn't get hit a lot. I think he's underratedly strong. I think people look at his frame and they just think, oh, he's just a skinny guy. But I think he has the Powhatan, John Jones style bender thing going on where he's a lot stronger than you think. And he's also big for the weight class. He's going to have the speed advantage here. He's going to be very hard for Patterson to catch this guy. You know, Patterson is not the most flat-footed fighter he's fought, but he's not quick.
He ain't Muhammad Ali with the feet.
No. You know, so for me, I think even if MVP does get taken down to the floor, I think Sam is going to have a hard time as this fight carries on because he's a guy that historically finishes early and then kind of has trouble as the duration of fights go, to be frank. He does have some second round finishes. I'm not going to say he doesn't. And he does have a path here. I just think people are just sleeping on how good MVP is and how difficult of a puzzle he is to solve once he's in there with you.
This is one of those fights where, listen, if you like the Sam Patterson side, it's finish only because I don't think he went to decision here.
I agree.
And if you like the MVP side, maybe decision only with, maybe a couple of sprinkles on the KO, as a long shot. But decision only is probably a very good look for Page. And again, finish only for Patterson. That's, from a play perspective, that's the way I'm kind of looking at it.
And to be fair, guys, Jared Cannonier couldn't get this guy on the floor. And Jared he's a killer gorilla. I mean, dude, he is built like an Adonis.
Yeah.
And had a hard time getting MVP to the floor. Only got MVP to the floor when he slipped on a kick. Let's just call it what it is. That's the only way the guys are getting MVP to the floor nowadays anyway. So for me, if he doesn't trip on a kick here, I think Sam's going to have a lot more of a hard time getting him to the floor than he thinks. And I just think if you're styling on a guy like Jared Cannonier who hits dumb hard and does have wrestling capability and is much bigger than you physically, a guy who came down from heavyweight, and you had a hard time dealing with him physically, I have a hard time believing Sam's going to be able to have a lot of success against this guy. I see why the line is lined the way it is. They have MVP at a minus 215, Sam at a plus 164. That seems about right. And it seems about right just because Sam clearly has a path here. I just think that even if he does get him to the floor, is he going to have success stopping him?
Yeah.
Or even landing damage? I'm not so sure about that. MVP's very good against the cage, and once he gets his back against the cage, once he gets taken down, he's very good about getting up. Knows how to use his body. Give me MVP here. I'm going to say he's going to KO him. I think he gets his first KO here because Sam historically doesn't have the best durability. I think he's going to throw himself into the fire here because he's a fucking dog. And I think he's going to get caught and he's going to get made to look very silly here. Give me MVP here by knockout.
Next fight on the card and is currently constituting the co-main event of the evening. At featherweight, we have Luke Riley going one-on-one with the Texas kid, Michael Aswell Jr. Riley, perfect, 12-0. Fighting out of England, repping England, 26 years old. Aswell, 11-3 overall. Fighting out of Houston, Texas, where them Texas boys at, 25 years old. Well, this fight's going to be, I think, kind of interesting for the most part. It's going to be fun, in my opinion. It's going to be with, it's two guys here who are primarily striking specialists, in my opinion, and they're going to meet in the middle, swing it out. But I think I am going to lean Luke Riley here for the win, and I think it's only because Luke is going to be a little quicker in there. A guy who's probably going to be a little more willing to go to the grappling here, in my opinion. And hometown advantage. I think the fight should be close. As well is, he's from Texas. He's built Texas strong, forward tough. He's going to walk forward. He's going to take some punches, but he's going to throw some punches. He's a hard out. He's a hard finish. Pause. I'm going to say Luke Riley is able to style on him just a bit, just enough for a decision win, in my opinion. Give me Luke Riley here for the win. I think he's just going to be a step ahead of Michael Aswell.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I'll keep this nice and short. And to be fair, this should be the feature fight, and the MVP fight should be the co-main. That's just me, though. I think Luke Riley's still green in a lot of ways because I think his grappling game can be easily exploited. But Michael Aswell is not going to be the one to do it. I think Michael Aswell is going to keep this on the feet. He has shot no takedowns in his UFC tenure. You cannot find a takedown to this man's name on the UFC stats. And I expect this fight to be a banger, to be frank with you. This fight gets very interesting as the duration of the fight goes. Second half of the second round, third round, I want to see what Luke Riley looks like. Because I don't hate a live throw in here. But to be fair, Michael Aswell is not like a prolific finisher either. And he's not going to wrestle. He's going to try and strike with the better striker here. But I think he's going to be a hard out. He's tougher than a $2 steak, as the great JR would say in the WWE.
Stone cold. Stone cold.
And I feel this is a fight where Luke should look very good because Mike is going to be there to get hit. And Mike doesn't have the athletic gifts to really cover space the way Luke can. Give me Luke Riley here to get a decision here against the tough out of Michael Aswell.
Next fight on the card, and is currently constituted the main event of the evening at featherweight, we have Movsar Evloev going one-on-one with the Miracle, Lerone Murphy. Evloev, perfect, 19-0. Fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia, 32 years old. The Miracle is 17-0-1, so technically perfect. Fighting out of England, repping England, 34 years old. This fight is interesting. This fight is a fight where I'm kind of going a little back and forth on. I'm excited that they made this fight happen. And it's one of those things where, man, I'm really rooting for Lerone Murphy. I want Lerone Murphy to win. I think he's the more entertaining fighter. I think he is probably the better striker here. I got a gut feeling it's going to be, crotch sniff city. It's going to be Pound Town and Grapple Town. You feel me? Like it's gonna be one of those fights where, I mean, listen, we know, the UFC knows, they've been very vocal about Evloev and his lack of entertaining style. And like, listen, who gives a fuck about entertainment when you're trying to win at the end of the day, right? But this is a paramount UFC now. This is a UFC that's not afraid to cut a man for being boring. But I think Evloev is probably going to win this fight with grappling. I do have some concerns on the Evloev side, that my brother will expound on. I mean, primarily his cardio. It's a good point. But, it's tough. Evloev is very fucking good on the ground, and his hands are a bit underrated.
Agreed.
I'll throw it out there. He can strike. But Lerone Murphy, at home, I'm assuming he's the dog here.
He is.
I think in a fight that can be close, it's got to be dog or pass, but it's hard to pick against a guy who hasn't lost in the UFC. So I'm going to be picking Evloev, not with a high degree of confidence. I will be rooting for Murphy here. This is dog or pass. I might be playing the dog. I'm hoping for a miracle.
Well, Lerone also hasn't lost in the UFC.
Yeah, technically you're right, yeah.
He's fought to a draw against a guy who's similar to Evloev, but it also wasn't a 5-round fight. And that guy was able to get his positions early, but Lerone was able to catch up to him as the fight went on. And I suspect that might be a lot of the same here. And that was only a 3-round fight. This is a 5-round fight. I've seen Lerone tested in 5-round water. I have not seen Evloev tested in 5-round water. And this is a guy who was fighting Arnold Allen. And if Allen had another 2 rounds, he probably would have stopped him. Or at least like 10-8'd him in one of those rounds.
Interesting.
So I think this is a pure dog or pass spot here. I think the UFC, and listen, I feel bad for Evloev. I don't like to knock guys who are super talented. The guy's built like a fucking Adonis.
Yeah, shredded.
He can wrestle his ass off.
Yes, he can.
But to be fair, he is a bit on the snooze side, especially for a casual fan who's watching. For me, I enjoy it. My brother enjoys it too. He is not a casual.
I'm a fan of grappling.
But we understand what Paramount is trying to do here. We understand that they're trying to phase out a lot of the boring fighters that don't land effective ground and pound or don't go for submissions.
Yeah, it's kind of like in baseball where home run is king, knockouts are king in fights, man.
Correct. Or guys who can just get stops, right? Like you can stop your opponent no matter what. If you get subs, we love it. But
people want barn burners.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is a contest that's super interesting, and I think the UFC knows exactly what they're doing, putting this in Lerone's backyard. Yeah. All the promotions behind Lerone, even though he's not the higher ranked contender here, and it's fucking crazy.
Also underrated power on the Murphy side. I think he's a better finisher than people give him credit for.
Correct. I expect this fight to look a lot. It could possibly look a lot like Usman Edwards 3.
Interesting.
I really believe that. And it's because Leon, like Murphy, they're from the same camp, by the way, ironically. He's going to have a lot of success using the jab and working off of his back foot and working against the cage to prevent takedowns. And Lerone is very good about getting up. He always hits his butt when he gets shot on, but he always manages to pop back up. And I suspect he's going to make Evloev work for every position here. And if Evloev is stalling, and he's not landing damage, if Lerone can land damage from the bottom as well as against the cage when they're against the cage, I think Lerone can win moments in this fight and then make moves in rounds that there's not a lot of action. And I think that's what the UFC is banking on. They're also banking on Evloev not having 5-round gas. And I have questions about it. I'm not saying he doesn't, and I'm not saying that Lerone is the guy either. I'm just saying it's in London. He's a 2-1 dog here. He's the better striker. I trust his gas tank better than Evloev's. He's not unphysical. Like the dude he's pretty shredded too. I expect him to be in the best shape he's been in ever for a fight. And on top of that, he has fought this style opponent before. He's not an unknown territory. Evloev kind of is. He's in the backyard. He's going against a guy who's going to be able to keep him off of him. I think with the jab, with the body kicks, with effective defense, getting off it, and effective scrambling to get off his butt when he does get shot on. And I think he's going to trust his cardio here and make him work. So give me Lerone Murphy here as a dog play. Not with a high degree of confidence, because this could be, like my brother's point, a fight where Evloev just smothers him with the wrestling and he can't really do shit. A lot like, a la Rob Font, Corey Sandhagen. Like that can happen. But I just think at this value, if you're going to play a dog, you should play Lerone at this spot. He's shown a lot. And, once again, to the credit of the UFC, what they're trying to do against Evloev, unfortunately, I'm saying it not because I like it. I'm saying it because narratives and the way the UFC wants to go say a lot on how you should probably look at fights. I mean, they were trying to give Evloev fucking Aaron Pico, who is, in my opinion, the worst stylistic opponent for him. The worst.
That would have been a fun fight.
Yeah, and do you want the real? Pico should be the favorite in that fight. Yeah, he got flat line, doesn't have the best chin. I get that. Evloev is not the best striker that he's fought. Pico is the best wrestler he's fought, and Pico physically can match him. So give me Lerone Murphy here as the dog shot. Not with a high degree of confidence. Not even sure I'm going to get there, but he's valid, and he's valid obviously amongst me and my brother here.
From England to Spain, from London to Madrid, we're going to move right along to the PFL Madrid to be exact, where we will be covering the majority of the main card. And since my brother and I exactly agree on every one of these fights, I'm going to try something a little different and quote unquote speed run some of these just to move the process along here. So without further ado, on the main card, we're going to be kicking it off with Linton Vassell going 1-on-1 with Denis Gostov. The Big Swarm is 25-10 overall, fighting in the United Kingdom, repping the United Kingdom, 42 years old. The Russian, don't know how to say that part of his nickname, but I'm just going to say Gostov. 36-9 overall. Fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia, 35 years old.
Before we start even covering this card, and we're going to do this really quick, I will say that this fight card will be taking place on Friday while the UFC takes place on Saturday, just so you guys have a heads up, and we will only be covering the main card. The prelim card, if you guys have any comments, questions, put them in the comments. We'll discuss them with you there, but we're only covering the main card just so we can speed this process along. We don't want an extremely long podcast, so here we go. Jumping right into it, this is a Litton Vassell first round or bust fight. If he cannot figure out a way to get this done in the first round, similarly to the last fight, he's going to get his ass whooped as this fight continues. He's been pretty good in rematches historically, but I mean, the man, even though he's built like an Adonis, he has a track and field background. He's 42 years old, and he's going against a guy in Gostov who whooped his ass the last time they fought after losing the first round. He can grapple, he can strike, he's big for the weight class. Gostov should be able to figure this out as the fight continues. I suspect second, third round Gostov stoppage here. I think he knocks him out again, and he stops him via ground and pound the way he did in the last contest. Give me Gostov here, second, third round stoppage here.
Next fight on the main card at men's lightweight, we have Alexander Shabliy going one-on-one with Kondratavičius. Shabliy, 24-4 overall, fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia, 32 years old. Duque is 22-5 overall, fighting out of Spain, hailing from Spain, 39 years old.
Yeah, there's no lines for this PFL card yet. Unfortunately, I hate that the PFL does this, but this is easily, in my opinion, Shabliy. Shabliy is the more complete MMA fighter. He's going to be light years better on the feet, and I think he's an underrated grappler. He's gotten stylistic matchups before that don't favor him. He's fought Usman Nurmagomedov. He's fought Brent Primus. Those guys are guys who are going to look to take him down. And there's two things that he does. He has very good takedown defense against the cage. I think he also has a threatening front headlock series. The other thing is, too, he has a way with his feet and his feints of keeping fights on their feet longer than you think they should be. I expect it to be no different here. Duque, he is an astounding BJJ black belt. If you want to play him, I think it's by submission here. But if you're asking me, I think he's going to have a hard time getting the Shabli's back. This guy is a complete fighter. He is not going to be at a size disadvantage here. It's going to be about equal. He's also got the experience edge here as well. So give me Shabliy here. I'll say by knockout here, and I'm going to say by knockout just because Duque is 39 years old, and I'm not sure after trying to wrestle into Shabliy, he's going to have the best gas heading into rounds 2 and 3.
And hasn't fought a caliber or fighter of Shabliy.
No, if we're being fair, 100%. And, you know, he's fought a Makhachev on his resume, but it's not the one you think of, you know? So let's just call it what it is. This is a big step up in competition for a guy who is nearly 40 and against a guy who's fought at the highest level of the sport and is significantly younger than him, about 7 years. Give me Shabliy here by knockout.
Next fight on the card, and it's currently constituted the co-main event at featherweight, we have A.J. McKee Jr., the mercenary, going one-on-one with the kid Adam Borics. McKee, 23-2 overall, fighting out of Lakewood, California, 30 years old. Borics is 20-3 overall, fighting out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but repping Hungary, 32 years old.
Yeah, this is a fight where there's a lot of question marks for a lot of reasons, and it's more on the AJ McKee side. Two things, and I've been very vocal about on this podcast. I question his commitment to MMA at this point in his career. He seems a little checked out. I don't know if the Paul Hughes fight kind of lit a fire under his ass, but what it did do was encourage him to return back to 145. Him going back down to featherweight here, I have some questions. I want to see how he looks on the scale. He says he never really felt good making the weight, but he might have been extra motivated this camp and it's like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to be super in shape and I'm going to do what I got to do. He's going against a guy in Boric who is a good striker. The dude is no slouch. The thing is, McKee at 45, where he has historically dominated, he's going to have the wrestling edge here. I suspect he's going to implement a ton of it in this contest. He also might have the power edge, surprisingly. But Boric, considering AJ McKee's question marks, might be a live dog here. And
I don't disagree.
I can't get there, and I'm not there yet. I want to see how McKee's talking this week. I want to see everything before I even try to make a further commitment to this fight. What I will say is, on paper and for this podcast, I'm going to lean McKee, but not with a high degree of confidence. I don't know where he's at.
Yeah, he just hasn't looked good lately. He just hasn't been motivated, whether it's his last fight or the lack of, UFC maybe calling in and he was hoping for that bag or, for that call,
Correct. And by the way, they have it listed as a split decision loss to Paul Hughes. That fight was not a split decision. He got fucking worked in that fight, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, he
did. And I'm a huge AJ, aka the mercenary fan here, but you got to call it like it is. And I told you, like, he kind of came into that fight half asleep, like groggy in interviews, not really interested. And I think if he got a huge wake up call, cool, man. He should stop Adam Boric here. He should stop him because his ground game's fucking wicked, especially when he gets his wrestling going. But once again, question marks. We got to see where he's at. We don't know. Want to watch the interviews? He's the official lean for the podcast. But once again, for the people who want to lean Boric in any capacity, I don't hate it here. But this is a guy in McKee who should be able to wrestle down Boric when he wants to, especially at featherweight, where he's going to have the dimensions and the physical size to bully his way into certain positions. So give me McKee here. Give me McKee by sub.
Next fight on the card and is currently constituted the main event of the evening for the PFL Middleweight Championship. We have the Spaniard Costello van Steenis going one-on-one with the assassin Fabian Edwards. Van Steenis is 17-3 overall. The champion is fighting out of the Netherlands but repping Spain, 33 years old. The contender Edwards is 16-4 overall. Fighting out of England, repping England, 32 years old.
So to my brother's point at the beginning of this podcast, this is a rematch. This is a very good fight, ladies and gentlemen, for a lot of reasons. The first fight was super close. I watched it again this morning. I thought Fabian won the fight, to be frank with you. Like, I could see it the Van Steenis way. It really comes down to the first round, to be frank with you, but I thought Fabian did enough. I thought he landed probably the more convincing shot of the round, not shots. This is a run back. All rematches are different, particularly in MMA. We've talked about this on many different occasions, but unfortunately, I think the result's going to be the same, and it might be the same a little more convincingly. They have Van Steenis and Edwards pretty much at the same dimensions. I'm here to tell you that Van Steenis he's bigger than him. He's a bull, low key, the bull from Spain, and Fabian's going to have to be a good fucking matador to keep this motherfucker off of him. Van Steenis, I feel, based on what I've watched, has made more of the improvements between camps to elevate his game. Fabian, like Leon, very good against the cage, defending the takedown, very good at range. They're going to do what they do. The thing is, he hasn't changed much since their first contest, where I feel like Van Steenis has made leaps and bounds adjustments to his game, particularly his wrestling game. And his last fight against Eblen showed me everything. Showed me he had that fucking dog in him. And also a guy that was able to hit multiple switches on a very good scrambler wrestler and win the positions and then take Eblen's back. With that said, on the feet, this is about 50-50. I think Fabian's probably a little more polished than him. He's cleaner. But if this motherfucker decides to put on his wrestling singlet, Van Steenis, I think he can get to certain positions here, probably even find a stoppage. He mounted him in the first fight and put the beats on Fabian in that second round. If he does it again in this fight, he might get the stoppage. And on the feet, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Fabian can't have success. The problem is you're banking on a guy like Leon who is fucking low volume to either point or land the big shot against a guy in Van Steenis who pretty durable, big for the weight class, gonna throw more volume, and not a bad striker himself. He's a little awkward at times, but he's not bad. He's gonna have the physicality edge here. I think he's made the better improvements in between camps, particularly with the wrestling. Him getting that sub on Eblen was no fucking mistake. He just wore him down, outdogged him as the fight went, and was able to get a rear naked choke after beating up the body and beating him up on the feet with the jab and things of that nature. So for me, this is Van Steenis' fight to lose. I don't know what the line's gonna look like, but I think if Van Steenis pushes the wrestling here, he's going to have a lot of success. And I don't think he's going to be mismatched on the feet either. He's going to be bigger. Give me Van Steenis here. I'll say ITD because he's historically been a finisher. But if
he is the better finisher.
Yes, but if this fight gets to the decision, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm curious as to value and what the value plays look like. Fabian's not the easiest guy to finish. But once again, I think if Van Steenis gets on top of him, he's going to work him like a summer job And it's a summer job that Fabian Edwards isn't going to like. He's going to hate the boss as well. So give me Van Steenis here to get the same result that he got last time, but a little more decisively.
And that does it for our MMA coverage, where we're going to be moving right along to the sweet science, and we're going to be moving from Spain to Northern Ireland, from Madrid to Belfast, where we're going to be covering one of two fights. The first fight we're going to be covering here is a main event featuring Mick Conlan going one-on-one with Kevin Walsh. Conlan, 20-3 overall. Fighting out of Ireland, repping Ireland, 34 years old. Walsh, 19-0, so technically perfect. Fighting out of Brockton, Massachusetts. Oh my God, I couldn't say that. 33 years old.
Yeah, there's a guy, Mick Conlan, man, who I will say the trajectory of his career changed dramatically after the Leigh Wood fight. In a fight where he was whooping his ass for the first 8 to 9, I would say the first 6 to 7 rounds. And then Leigh started, laying wood on the second half of that fight. And it was close. I had Mick up until he got flatlined with the 12th round shot from Wood that essentially changed the trajectory of his career. Since then, he's 4-2 out of his last 6. He got stopped in those 2 losses. But to his credit, his last 2 fights, he's won. And then the last one, he won via knockout. This is a guy that he's fighting in Kevin Walsh, who, in my opinion, might be a little spicy. Doesn't fucking belong in there with him. This guy Walsh, like all dog, no breaks. Give him a lot of credit. He swings wide. He swings to hurt. He swings to kill. The thing is, he's going in there against an Olympian, a guy that has decent punching power himself, a guy that is the more technical boxer, a guy that's going to have the size and dimensions on him. And, I heard an interview with Mick Conlan this week where he said, if I lose to this guy, I should probably just hang it up. He's fucking right. If he does lose to Walsh, he should fucking hang it up. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this fight can't get interesting as it goes, but I don't expect it to go far. I think Mick is probably going to catch up to him early to mid rounds and knock him the fuck out. I really do. This guy does not belong in there with him. He does not move his fucking head. He has a problem with the right hand. He doesn't effectively block left hooks. And this is a guy who, if he's doing the proper tape, he's going to know that. And he's going to land the left hook at will. Conlan's also very good at going to the body. So he's going to be able to hit the head and the body at will here. Mick Conlan is a southpaw fighter and Walsh is an orthodox fighter. So the straight left is probably going to be there for Mick in this fight. I expect him to land it at will. I expect him to beat him in the lead jab battle here because obviously you have a southpaw fighter going against an orthodox fighter. It's going to be more about that front foot and the lead hand battle. Mick is like fucking an Olympian, for fuck's sakes. He should get what he wants in this fight. I expect him to stop him early to mid rounds here because Walsh is literally a punching bag and has gotten dropped by no-name boxers who Mick would eat up and spit out whenever he wants to. Give me Mick Conlan here to get the stoppage early to mid rounds.
And last but not least, moving right along from Belfast, Northern Ireland, to the only fight that we've been covering here that's going to be taking place in the United States, in Orlando, Florida. We have another main event for the WBC World Middleweight title. Carlos Adames going one-on-one with Austin Williams. Carlos Adames, the Caballo Branco, 24-1-1 overall. Fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, but repping the Dominican Republic, 31 years old. Austin Ammo Williams, 20-1 overall. Fighting out of Houston, Texas, where them Texas boys at, 29 years old.
Yeah, this is a very interesting fight, very fun fight because Ammo Williams is going to bring the fight, but also a fight that we've covered previously and where Adames had to pull out on fight day due to illness. The breakdown hasn't changed much. No. And the only thing I'm concerned about is what exactly was Adames' illness, because if it was significant, then we might have a different conversation, but I'm going to assume it was something flu-like and he just got over it or he had a problem with weight cutting.
Yeah, probably weight cut related.
Now, this is a fight where Ammo is going to make it interesting just because he is the higher volume fighter here. Adames is by far the more technical boxer. He has by far the better feet. And you could argue he arguably has the better power here. He's a 75% finisher. He stopped 18 of his fights, 18 of his 24 fights. Ammo is no slouch with the power either, but he does leave himself open to get clipped and hurt a ton. This is a guy in Adames who made Hamzat Shiraz look pedestrian. And if you want the real, I'm going to let you in on something. He got fucking robbed of the win in that fight when they gave it a split decision draw. He fucking cleanly won that fight. It was horseshit. And it's just boxing doing boxing shit.
Unfortunate.
Adames won that fight. He should have 25 wins. He outboxed Shiraz. Shiraz styled on Ammo. And you can't do it, you can't do boxing math the same way you can't do MMA math. Styles make matchups. This fight is interesting just because I know Ammo is going to put volume out there and Adames is low volume. That's where we draw the dilemma here. But if you're asking me for a pick's sake, it has not changed. I'm going to lean Adames here. I think Adames is going to land probably a big shot here, probably stop Ammo. I like the drops in this fight. I like the knockdowns because I suspect Ammo is going to get caught here. Even if he does win, I think he's going to get dropped. But Adames low volume, very good. Like, I think sneaky power just because I think people forget his power just because of the volume and because he is a technical boxer off his back foot. But I expect the man from the Dominican Republic to unpack, undress, and surgically break down Ammo Williams here, unfortunately. I don't know if he goes after the kill the way he probably should. But once again, I don't hate people who are looking at a dog shot at Ammo Williams, particularly, once again, because of the volume. But I can't get there. I think Adames is legit. Give me Adames here. I'll say by knockout. I think he clips him. But if he gets a decision, I'm not going to be surprised. But I'm on Adames to get the knockout here.
And that does it, ladies and gentlemen. That does it for the MMA. That does it for the boxing. That does it for episode 134. That does it for me. My brother, please, like always, tell him what the deal is. Take us home.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, and TikTok.
If you enjoyed the visual portion of this podcast, like always, you can catch us on YouTube to catch the main cast. And coming soon on Twitch, on Kick, you can catch us live. But like always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and iHeartRadio, you already know. Love you guys. Holla at you guys. See you guys next week for episode 135, Stylebender versus Piper. Enjoy the fights this weekend. I think the UFC cards and the boxing fights are all going to deliver for the most part. So enjoy these fights. Leave some comments if there's any fights that we didn't cover between the PFL, UFC, and boxing that you may or may not want to discuss. If you disagree with us, that's cool. I'm still looking at all you guys who doubted us on Jordan Levitt in that play. Fuck you. We told you what it was. Nah, we love you, though. We love you. We're going to be wrong sometimes, but, based on the fight footage that we got, we try to be right more times than we're wrong. That's the goal. That's the key.
Yeah.
So, love you guys. Keep the love coming. Live stream coming soon. We will keep you posted about that. Holla at you guys. See you guys next week for episode 135. Peace, one, love, later.